I'll start by saying I'm quite happy with what's going on at Moodle right now. There's a debate, and I want that debate to keep going. I am reading the debate, and when I feel necessary, I'm also going to contribute in that debate. But so far, I think you're going in the right direction. I think you're discussing what needs to be discussed, and I encourage more participation at Moodle because this is a big class, and I want everyone to have participation points, okay? The more you participate, the better. The more points you get. Now for Moodle, I told you that every week I'm going to put new stuff. So for the first week, and every week I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you what to read, okay? So for the first week I said read Strayer for this week. And for the second week, for the first 2 hours today, I said read Goldstein and Buzin, okay, Barry Buzin. And for the next hour, I'm going to ask you to read Gilpin. So you have 3 readings for this week. The third reading is going to be for next, for Thursday. And maybe I'm not going to be able to finish Gilpin, so it will also cover next Monday as well. Okay? So if you have doubts on what to read for the class before coming to class, hopefully a few days before coming to class, I need you to actually look at Moodle. Okay? Just check Moodle. And I have also systemic theories presentation already at Moodle. So that's something that I hope to start today. And, of course, I have another debate right there. So you're going to see that just as you are debating in one, there'll be another. Okay? So after a while, you're going to stop debating in the first one, and you're going to start debating in the second one, or the third one, or the fourth one. Okay? So I don't expect you to keep debating in the first issue or the next issue forever. I want you to actually adapt to the topic that week. Okay? So that's something that, that is really important. Don't get stuck on any debate. All right. So we left off, I think, by the Concert of Europe. I'm actually not going to talk about the whole presentation here. I'm just going to finish soon because I'm not going to get into the details of the World Wars and what happens after the World Wars. I kind of think that everybody already got a few courses on what happened after the World Wars. And I am going to talk about these things later anyways. So I'm going to finish here with this slide. And after the Concert of Europe, what was the Concert of Europe about? What did we say was the Concert of Europe the first sign-off? Multilateralism. Okay, what was multilateralism? What did it mean?
Two parties are involving into an issue.
Okay, so when there is a conflictual issue, or when there is any issue that requires the participation of more than 2 states, these states will get together in a multilateral setting. They'll meet, if possible, and they're going to discuss that issue. This was actually quite a continuation of the norm of sovereignty, remember, established by Westphalia. And states actually did not want to fight with one another in Europe anymore. They don't want war because as they fight, their wealth decreases. It's because wars actually lead to loss of population, loss of wealth, and several other negative aspects of wars are not desired. So what started with the Westphalian Treaty actually goes on with the idea of Concert of Europe. So Concert of Europe, after the Congress of Vienna, is a period, okay? From 1815 until, you could say until the end of 1800s, or you could say until First World War, was a relatively more peaceful period, okay? We can't really argue that the period was very peaceful, but it was relatively more peaceful in Europe. And I have told you that when there is peace, that actually means there's more wealth, there's more production, and there's more innovations, technological innovations, military innovations, all of these will follow that period. Now, American Civil War is actually something that, from our perspective, is something that we need to talk about because it is the first fully industrialized war that takes place. Remember, I told you that industrialization is, from our perspective, very important because with industrialization, we'll start, colonization will continue, actually. Colonization is not a process that starts with industrialization, but it becomes more intense after industrialization. Why was colonization important from our perspective? What happened with colonization?
It was a central part of the current system because it enabled an industrial revolution to occur,
Okay.
giving access to greater markets.
Okay, so access to markets, to get raw materials from countries that still produce raw materials.
And also to sell the goods that were being produced in Mexico.
Okay, you need to sell your products. So production is not enough. You actually need to sell your products. So American Civil War, from our perspective, is quite significant because with this war, we actually witness a fully industrialized war. What does that mean? Factories are producing weapons, mass productions of weapons, such as rifles, okay, machine guns. I wanted to show you a picture of the first machine gun. Just Google it, okay? The first machine gun is really funny. It looks funny. But you know what? It's actually able to kill a lot of people at one shot. So machine guns are a huge development over rifles and others, right? What else? Submarines. Okay. So you also have railroads. What do you use the railroad for? Transportation of whom? Soldiers. Okay. And let me tell you one interesting way that the American Civil War uses railroads for, which is reconnaissance. You're wondering what's going on in the enemy's side. You actually send a locomotive, and that locomotive can actually immediately go back. So speed is very important in terms of railroads. Okay? One thing about industrialization is the culture of people is actually changes faster. Technology changes faster. Innovations are faster. And fast means sometimes winning wars. When you are faster in wars, in reconnaissance, for example, as a strategy, you actually get information about an area, and then you can go back and let your people know what's going on in that specific area, okay? So American Civil War then is important because it's the first real industrialized war, and railroad is used, machine guns, and by the way, hold on. Railroads are not only important from a reconnaissance perspective, but also with railroads, you can send food, right? So railroads are important for tactics and also logistics. So you actually send food to your soldiers. You've heard of wars where people actually starve to death, right? Soldiers and your people starve to death. Well, that's something that will change with railroads. And countries that have railroads, a huge network of railroads, will become stronger. So once again, technology is helping countries to be stronger or to be to win wars. Now, guys, I was talking about 1861 until 1865 for the American Civil War. And then by 1870s, we have unification of Germany and Italy. What's unification? What was Germany and Italy before? Yes?
After the Napoleonic there was a North German Confederation established by 13 German little states. And Bismarck has convened them all together, especially after the campaign to Austria.
Okay.
And then in 1870 France.
Okay. So before that, you actually have a dispersed collection of cities and states, leagues. So we're going to talk in a few weeks, we're going to talk about the alternatives of the nation state. What other forms of political organizations existed in the world before nation states unified? Okay, so in Germany and Italy, what we know of as Germany and Italy, we didn't have a nation state before it was unified. And guys, for unification, remember when the other states unified, it's quite late for Germany and Italy to unify by 1870s, okay? So why is this significant from our perspective? If you are a late unifier, that's as important as being a late industrializer. That's because you fall behind, right? Or you feel like you fell behind. And this is quite significant from our perspective because those who fell behind will be more likely to fight so that they'll become more aggressive because they're going to want to develop as fast as possible, okay? And if everyone has colonies, you will want to have colonies as well, right? So you're going to see a race for colonization, which we call colonialism, okay, by late 1800s. This should be 1800s, okay? Not 1900s. All right. So, guys, do we see colonization for the first time in history of world affairs? Okay. Every state that actually conquers land colonizes, doesn't it? So what is colonization? Move from or send some of your people from one land to another and inhabit there. So you start living in a different land that you conquered. Maybe the natives actually gave up their land, or you actually killed them, or you actually fought with them and you won. Whatever the way is, okay? Colonization has been around for a very long time, for thousands of years. But what matters here is colonialism that we're talking about in late 1800s is actually a race, and it is the race of great powers or stronger states to become even stronger by getting the resources and by selling their products in markets of the colonized areas. Okay? So, okay, final thing that I'm going to stop by 1900s. And the final thing I'm going to stop with is, again, something technological and innovation, which is air travel. People thought that railroads were huge innovations until they actually faced air travel. Okay? Air travel has become the most crazy innovation that nations have faced because you were able to travel faster than ever. Like I said, for us, speed is important, okay, in the international system. And the Wright brothers in North Carolina in 1903 actually were able to fly a plane. Well, of course, not one like today's, but it was sophisticated enough to help carry people around and to help carry logistics around. So that was the bottom line technology for a long time, okay? So air travel is something that I'm going to emphasize every now and then. So guys, what I did so far is I actually said what happened in the past will affect what happened today. And what happened in the past from our perspective, to understand what happened in the past from our perspective is really necessary. I emphasized three things while I was doing the historical background. I said economy and economic development is of utmost importance in our course. And technology, especially military technology, was the second thing that I emphasized when I looked at the historical background. And what was the third thing? Unification or state building, right? Remember the yin-yang. Always remember the yin-yang figure of the course. So you have state, nation building or state building affected by economic development, and economic development affecting state building, and then you have technology affecting all. And all of these are in interaction with one another, affecting the whole system, okay? And in the meantime, the whole system, what happens in the whole system keeps affecting the units. Now, I told you before that states are not our only actors, but they are quite an important actor. And I am going to talk about other actors as well as the course progresses, okay? Any questions with the historical background? Anyone who didn't understand why we did this? Everyone is clear? Okay. So I didn't get into the details because I only covered what I need to cover. There are other things, well actually, there's the early 20th century crises for your reference, the Great War, World War I, and then there's World War II, then we have the Cold War, obviously, and then I just put all the important stuff in there for you to take a look at when you feel that you're not sure about your history background, okay? So this is all for your reference. I'm not gonna get into them. What's that? Yes. Yeah, wall. It's Berlin Wall. Yes. There will be little things like that because I actually prepared this a very long time ago. Guys, interesting thing. This course was taught in the US, I think in 2004 and 2006. I taught this course in a political science department at State University of New York. So you're not the first ones to see these slides, and they were actually prepared originally by Eric Duchesne, who taught this course. So you're actually one part of a long tradition of a course on the international system. Here's the thing. This actually was originally a fourth-year course. And I actually took a lot of things out really fast to make this into a third-year course. So you're lucky because you're actually getting the course in a less advanced level than you could have. I don't know if that's lucky or unlucky, but this was a course that political scientists also cover. So in this course, I'm going to show you things that are in the intersection of economics, political science, sometimes psychology. We have psychology students there, right? So this is quite an interdisciplinary course, okay? That's how I want you to view it from today on. And for those who are not trained in international relations, I'm just going to give you some background, some theoretical background today, and actually on Thursday as well. And if there are any questions, any problems with these theories, please visit me in my office hours or make an appointment with me, because I'm going to be fast. Like, this is not going to be a huge theory course, but there are some theories that I want you to at least have some idea of, okay? Especially for those who are not IR students. All right, and we have quite many of those in this class. So in international relations, we have a distinction between grand theories and mid-range theories. Anyone who knows what these are? What's a grand theory? Like realism, liberalism. What is a grand theory? How would you try to define it?
That would have a centuries-long past, that centuries long ago they were being discussed. However, other you mentioned that they popped up.
Good guess. Which is partly true. Yes, grand theories are older theories than mid-range theories. But the most significant thing that makes a grand theory is what?
Maybe that the state is the main focus?
Maybe the state is the main focus. Could be, not necessarily, but you're all getting there.
So I think they encompass more things than just any one topic or state.
Okay. Grand means big, large, right? So these theories actually cover broader issues, broader time frames, right? And they focus the state, and some focus on other actors as well, but the main focus is really the state as well as other things. And they are old. Realism can be traced back to Thucydides, yeah? Well, he wasn't an IR scholar, but you can trace the idea of realism back to Thucydides and to Peloponnesian Wars. That's a very long time ago, yes. And another thing about grand theories is they don't necessarily focus on all countries, but they focus on the most powerful states. They focus more on the system, while the systemic grand theories focus on the system. There are non-systemic grand theories as well, right? Okay, so what's a systemic theory is my next question. Yes? They focus on systems. That's true, but they focus on what aspect of systems? Ideology, part of the system.
How they operate, how systems operate.
What?
How systems operate.
How systems operate. You're making good guesses today. Are they guesses or did you read the material? Okay. So systemic theories believe that the international relations in the world can be explained by looking at the system structure, okay? So how does the system as a whole interact with the units in it, okay? So we're talking about an imagined system. Remember last week I told you that some theories believe there is a system, some theories believe there's no system. So these guys believe that we can think of an imagined system with a structure that affects you all, okay? Realism is the first one that I'm going to talk about. And realism is quite a state-centric theory. There are many types of it. I'm not going to get into all of them. So I'm just going to talk about the general characteristics of realism. And in realism, the system structure is anarchy, defined as anarchy. But anarchy here is quite different than chaos. That's what you were going to say, right? Okay. So when we say anarchy, we're not trying to say chaos. We're actually talking about quite a structured system. But in this system, there is lack of central authority overarching the states. What does that mean? Who's the central authority in this classroom? Me, obviously. I'm the most powerful. I'm the central authority. I'm the queen in this system, okay?
But there is something that challenges you.
There's something that challenges me? Who's that? The camera challenges me. No, the camera is just observing the system that I created, that I'm controlling. You know what might challenge me? The rector could, right?
You have authority, but not all forms of power.
Okay, I have authority in this system, and I am the central authority, but, I mean, if you're a religious person, you could say that God actually is more powerful than I am, right? But in this system, according to an IR perspective, in this system, if I'm the central authority, then this system is quite hierarchical, meaning there's me, and then I have, was it Elif? Esra. Esra is my advisor, let's assume, okay? And Esra in this hierarchy is the next after me. So when you have a problem, you go to Esra. And after Esra, Kıvanç might be the next person in the hierarchy. So a hierarchy actually has different parts, right? So I'm here, and then there will be other people in that hierarchy. Well, in an anarchy, which realism predicts the system structure is, we have actually no central authority. We actually have states. Some states are more powerful, others are less powerful. But there is no king or queen. There is no central authority that can tell you what to do. In a hierarchy, I can tell Magnus, okay, I don't know, what do I tell you? Be quiet, right? I can't actually say that when I am a central authority. Or I can say, you're going to give your notes to your friend. So I can order you things around, right? In an anarchical system, every one of you, in terms of your status in the international system, you're equal, okay? But your power levels are different. So distribution of power is different, but you're all nation states that are sovereign. You all have the chance to increase your power levels, okay? So according to realism, the international system structure is anarchical, meaning there is no central authority to rule everyone. You are on your own. What does that bring? It's kind of like stressful, isn't it? You're all on your own. With me, there's someone to tell you what to do. Without me, you actually are on your own, and if anyone attacks you, you actually have to work for your own survival. So in realism, the main idea is self-preservation. You're trying to survive, and you're trying to survive by increasing your power. So, or find an ally. So you're on your own, and the best thing to do then is to try to increase your power, or if you're not powerful enough, try to find an ally that's more powerful than you are, okay? Or try to find an ally that you can ally with, not necessarily more powerful than you are, okay? We call this, in realist terms, balance of power, okay? So most realists will believe that every state, or in the system, because of the self-preservation nature of the system, and because of the anarchical structure of the system, every state in the system will try to automatically balance power against rising states, okay? So if Tülay is becoming more and more powerful, to me, that's a threat, okay? And it creates a huge dilemma for me. I start worrying about my security. And so I get into an alliance with Sumin, okay? And us together can balance her power, because otherwise I feel quite at risk, okay? I feel that my survival is at risk. So the whole concept here is power relations and a zero-sum game, meaning Celal wins and I lose. We can't win at the same time in this type of portrayal of the international system, okay? So according to the realists, the system structure is quite important. But as I said, there are different types of realism. There are different types of realism, and some types of realism will argue that domestic factors are important as well. Okay? So some types of realism will believe that domestic factors are going to change what's going on in the system. And some other types of realism will say it's the international factors that really matter. Okay? But in all types of realism, system structure is important and is assumed to be anarchical. Is this clear? I'm repeating the stuff most of you know, right? Half the class, probably. Okay, when you get really bored, let me know, because I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. All right. Now, realism in international relations is quite associated with the name of Hans Morgenthau, who wrote his book in 1948 on politics among nations. And he talked about power and power struggle and balance of power, right? And for a long time, realism was actually the popular way of thinking that affected states and leaders in the international system. Now, guys, I actually didn't mention that, but I just remembered. Anyone who's not clear what a theory is? What's a theory? I started talking about theories, but what is it? Okay, really big words, right? That define theory. I'm just going to give you a very short, very brief definition of it. Interrelated hypotheses that point to a relationship between two things. Very simple, right? What's a hypothesis? A hypothesis is an educated guess. You make observations. As a result of those observations, you come up with an educated guess. So I've been making, and I tell this in every class, I've been making observations about getting old. Every woman does. I think men do too, but they don't tell. So as I get older, my feet get bigger. How about that? Would you believe that? You don't, because you're really young to believe that. I'm old enough to know that it's possible. So with observation, I say, as I get older, my feet get bigger, or feet, everyone's feet get bigger. So I'm actually connecting two issues with one another. Age and size of feet. Okay. And the way I connect them is, as I get older, as my age increases, the size of my feet get bigger. This is a hypothesis. Okay? But is size of feet related to age? how size of feet, getting bigger of the size of your feet related to age? Well, if I connect hypotheses with one another and create a theory on the horrible things associated with age, now I, Neil Shatana, became the creator of this new theory on getting older, okay? Let me name it disgusting things related to getting older. I don't know. I'm free to name my theory whatever I want. I could have named it realism too. Instead, I picked something more catchy. Now guys, you can explain the connection, the relationship between age and size of feet through many different explanations. Do you believe me, by the way? Do you believe that this actually takes place? My feet were a size 6 when I was your age. Now it is a no, it's a size 7.5. So there is definitely a change in my feet. What is happening with my feet? How would you explain it? Magnus?
Well, it's just a correlation. You got older, your feet got bigger. But in order to have a good theory, you have to explain how could it be that there should be a causality between those regulations.
Okay. So when we talk about theories, we actually talk about causality. Not only a correlation, but a causality. Okay, let me connect these causally. Okay? Guys, as I get older, I get more subject to the forces of gravity. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. What does the forces of gravity do to you? Did your parents become smaller as they get older? Did you notice that? You lose a few centimeters as you get older from your height. I'm telling you all the horrible things about aging. I know, it's depressing, but you need to know the realities here. So what does that mean? The forces of gravity will affect your height and your feet. So one causal explanation is, as you get older, you become more subject to forces of gravity, and as a result, the bone structure of your feet will change due to forces of gravity. Are you happy with that explanation, Magnus? Do you have a better causal explanation? You might. Let me give you another explanation. As I get older, all these years, I've been wearing all these uncomfortable shoes. As a woman, I've been on high heels for a very long time now. All those high heels, what do they do to your feet? Any ideas? Not yet. You'll learn soon enough. The high heels will lead to changes in the bone structure of your feet. And the bones in your feet will actually change and they will be deformed. Now everyone is imagining the worst feet. Okay. That actually, as the changes in your bone structure take place, your feet will not fit into the shoes that you were wearing 20 years ago. Okay? I gave you another explanation. So guys, we have an observation. And when I connect the dots, and when I make these educated guesses, I can come up with different explanations, different theories of why feet will get bigger as one gets older. Okay? So that's why there is one observation, many theories in every realm of life, as well as international relations. Okay? So why did a war take place? You'll explain it differently than I do. That's okay. I'm using a different theory than you do. So we make the same observation, But we use different international relations theories to actually explain that very same observation. Is this clear? So when people come to you and say, hey, there's this international relations theory called realism, that means it's only one way of explaining international affairs. There, I have a second ground theory of explaining international affairs, and it is called idealism or liberalism. Someone will let me know of time, right? So,
Just 4:30 now.
how many?
4:30.
Oh, I have to stop. Okay, I'm stopping now. Let's take a break.
You want me to leave that up?
What's that?
Do you want me to